Behind the Roar, the official podcast of West Tigers.
Hello and welcome to episode 9 of Behind the Roar, the official podcast of the West Tigers, where we kick speculation into touch, where we give it to you straight, and where we learn more about the people and the stories behind this great club. Now, this week's podcast has a real southwest flavour to it, given that we are playing our first game at Campbelltown this weekend on Sunday, part of Anzac round, where we take on Manly Sea Eagles. Our guest this week, well, he is Southwest through and through. I was going to say Campbelltown through and through, but that's not quite the case. Born in Liverpool, he played in all the Southwest junior rep teams from under-13s right through until the NRL. He played 12 games for West Tigers over 3 seasons and then finished his NRL career with North Queensland Cowboys. These days, he really is an integral part of West Tigers' Pathways system, focusing on bringing more and more young talent through the Southwest, through the Macarthur regions, Group 6, Southern Highlands as well. He's a fullback. He made his NRL debut for West Tigers back in 2007. I think it was round 18 or round 19. A very warm welcome to West Tigers Pathways manager, Shannon Gallant. Shan, thanks for joining us, mate, on Behind the Roar.
Thanks for having me, mate.
You're enjoying your role quite clearly, huh?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's something that I'm, I suppose, born to do. It's something that I'm very passionate about. I was involved with the junior reps before taking up this role and, really enjoy my time with the club.
You know how this works, because I do know you have listened to a couple of episodes of Behind the Roar. You listened to the one with Scando now. So how it works, right, we're going to have a set of 6.
Yep.
We'll kick things off. I'll ask you 6 questions to get to know you a little bit better.
Yep.
In the middle of the podcast, we'll talk, some key issues, some main stories around your role, the club, pathways, and other things as well.
Yep.
Feel free to have a bit of fun.
No dramas.
Let you
just
loosen up. All good.
Yep.
And then at the back end of the show, we'll hit the favourite 5 with about 5 minutes left on the clock. All right, I'll rattle a few things off at your favourite people, memories, places, all that. We may have a couple of questions from the crowd as well.
Yep.
And by the way, just on that too, if you do want to send some questions through for any of our upcoming guests, in the pipeline too, Dean Hallertau is going to jump on, Joel Kane is coming on, Bo Ryan is coming on. If you've got any questions for those boys, feel free, via Instagram is probably the best way to do it. West Tigers BTR. That's our handle. Is that what you say? Handle, yeah. DM us there and we'll do whatever we can to get your questions into the podcast. Before we get into the set of 6, I imagine, Shan, there's quite a buzz around the Southwest, given that we are playing our first game at Campbelltown this weekend. We saw last week the launch of the Group 6 and Macarthur Junior Rugby Leagues.
Yep.
Freddie Fittler was out there. A few of our boys were out there as well. Appy Coruscant. I saw that on the Sunday footy show. It was a really nice piece. Then down in Mittagong too, big turnout.
Yeah, look, we've had plenty of people getting involved over the last couple of weeks, and there is a big buzz around obviously playing out at Campbelltown. I've noticed that through the request for tickets for Campbelltown this weekend. There's been quite a few coming my way, but look, I was out at Campbelltown Stadium the other day for the season launch, and there was a great turnout of junior league clubs, etc., and the volunteers. So, and having obviously Brad Fittler and the guys there was really great to see, and obviously the West League Club and getting around behind the competition again, which is fantastic moving forward.
We'll talk more about it, but being a joint venture club, we have got 2, I guess, spiritual homes. Yep. Campbelltown is one of them. Leichhardt is one of them.
Yep.
This year's a little bit difficult because we're only playing 3 games at Leichhardt and 3 games at Campbelltown, given the FIFA Women's World Cup. Yeah. So I think our listeners and our fans and members understand and appreciate that. But just reiterating, the long-term plan will be to be splitting 50-50 at both Leichhardt and Campbelltown. And we'll talk more too about the new Centre of Excellence going up at Lamia as well, which I know you're very happy about.
Excited about, mate.
Might cut your petrol a little bit.
Absolutely.
As well. In terms of the junior reps, and you play a very big role in that, so it's all over now. Hey? Our SG Ball West team lost last weekend to Parramatta in the elimination final.
Yeah, unfortunately, look, they very young squad. They were the squad that won the competition last year in the Harold Matthews Cup. A lot of those boys come up and were a year young players in the SG Ball. They had a tough ask against Parramatta on the weekend, and the boys really turned up to play. Unfortunately, didn't get a result, but the coaching staff and the playing group did a really great job this year. And I'm extremely proud as the Pathways manager in the West Macarthur area of what they've done, and I'm looking forward to obviously the success they're going to have moving forward.
And just on that too, we'll just explain. So that SG Ball West Magpies team, a lot of those boys were part of last year's winning Harold Matthews team, which won the premiership for the first time as Magpies. So they're eligible, I guess, for ball again, a lot of them next season.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yep.
So disappointing to bow out, but they've made the finals. And
well, look, that was an expectation. To get to the finals. Ultimately, we believe they probably could have gone a little bit further into it, but for them to do what they did throughout the year and back up with the pressure and the targets on their back, essentially from what they'd done the previous year, I think they all took that on board, and they were resilient throughout the season. The coaching staff worked really well with them, and I think they've done the club proud and they've done the jersey proud.
And let me tell you, some of these boys we are going to be hearing a lot more of. So a few of them are already contracted to us. They have trained with the NRL teams, that the likes of Talon Da Silva, Kitla Lilly, Jordan Miller. So these boys, they're on their path to the NRL, and we'll talk more about it, but you must feel a sense of achievement too, because you've had a pretty big contribution to their development. There's been a lot of progress, rapid progress, hasn't there, in the past 12 to 24 months in Pathways in your area. Strategically, Shan, how important is it for this club to develop and keep its own?
I think it's hugely important. I think you look over the last year and a half, the amount of local juniors that we have eligible to be playing for this club, and the talent that we have in the area, not just in Campbelltown, but obviously in Leichhardt as well. I think if we're investing, which the club has done really well over the last few years, we're going to see a lot of those local talented kids remain local and obviously progress through to the NRL, where we're going to have guys that are really proud about the jersey and want to commit to the club long term. So I think the investment from the club over the past few years has not gone unnoticed, and we can see that with obviously the Pathways and how it's going. And Matt Betsy, obviously head of Pathways, has done a really good job in making sure he's implemented those structures in place, that we've got a really good pathway moving forward, and something that our local kids, even 12, 13 years old, can see that there's a clear pathway through to the NRL at this club, and something I'm proud of.
He's and so Ciro is your counterpart who looks after the Balmain, and Matt Betsy's the head of Pathways, and you're right, a really good operator. And I mean, with the NRLW coming in as well, there's a lot happening around the club, so much happening around the club. And I guess the focus is always on the NRL team, but behind the scenes, everyone's very, very busy producing new talent, producing new teams, and developing the club. We'll sink our teeth a bit more into that a bit later on. I mentioned at the top, and I do every episode of Behind the Raw, we kick speculation into touch, and we give it to you straight. So if there is anything in the media that we'd like to address, I think here's a good forum to do it. You may have last weekend, I don't know if you read, there were some reports in the paper, and I can't recall what paper it was, about this young halfback, St Helens halfback, Lewis Dodd. So he was the boy young fella that kicked that winning field goal against Penrith in the World Club Challenge, plays for St Helens. Real great talent. I understand that he has expressed interest to maybe join the NRL in the coming years when his contract finishes. I think maybe 2025. So there's probably going to be a lot of clubs chasing a young talent like that. But there was a story at the weekend saying that the boss of St Helens, Mike Rush, who I know, warned Lewis Dodd off joining the West Tigers, something along those lines, basically saying that the St Helens boss had told Lewis Dodd, hey, do not join West Tigers, which it's not a good look for us, our club. No. I spoke to Mike yesterday, and I just wanted to clear that up. I said, what's going on here? Well, he said to me, no way in the world. He's never even spoken to Lewis Dodd about his plans of joining the NRL, much less warning him off West Tigers. So I just wanted to sort of clear that up too.
And a young talent, I think he'd be exceptional in the NRL. I mean, given the opportunity, and it'd be silly not to take it on. And obviously, this club at the moment, we're on the rise. We've got the centre of excellence here now, and I think be great for him to come over and experience that here, and I think he'd do a great job.
Oh, yeah. Well, whether it's, I mean, look, I've got no idea what the recruitment plans are, and one thing about this club is we don't talk about recruitment until it happens. But you can understand there'll probably be a lot of clubs that would like to.
Mate, if he wants to challenge himself, which all rugby league players do, there's no better place than the NRL. So,
well, there we are. We'll kick that speculation into touch. Righto, set of 6. Wait for it. Can you hear the whistle? There she goes. All right. So, Shannon Gallant, first question you're going to tackle. Take us right back to your childhood and your junior footy.
Mate, it's my earliest memory is playing football. It's been a part of my life since day dot. Essentially, I played for the Milperra Colts actually as a young kid before moving out to Casula, where I ended up playing for the Ashcroft Stallions. We eventually ended up folding that club, and then I moved out to Campbelltown, where I played for the Campbelltown City Kangaroos, and currently still. I've gone back there as a senior player now, but yeah, which is good, playing for my local.
Hang on. What?
Yeah,
you're still playing.
Participating. I wouldn't say playing, not at a high level.
I thought you had a bit of a stiff neck, so
yeah, got the old Batman neck.
It's rude to ask a Pathways development manager his age, but how old are you?
37, mate. 37. I look 45.
No, don't be hard on yourself. So you're still playing at 37?
Yeah, look, I spoke to. I retired a couple of years back, and obviously took on this role, and it took up a lot of time, obviously with the football side of things. But I just had a itchy feet. Spoke to the boss and said, "Do you mind?" And he's like, "No, by all means, as long as your legs can still turn, why not? Give it a shot."
I'm envious. I really am envious because I struggle to. I could struggle to run for a bus these days. I am a fair bit older than you. 37. So Benji's 37 too. Well, he's fit as a fiddle as well.
Mate, wow. If Tigers won't have him, we'll have him at Campbelltown City if he wants to come back.
There's a call, Bench. All right, we're going off track again. This always happens. Bit of cash on the side for you?
No comment.
No?
It's...
So surely it's not match payments for a 37-year-old.
Yeah, look.
Yeah? Beer money?
You get... Look, the Macarthur competition is actually, it's one of the best competitions.
It's A grade, then?
Yeah, it's an A grade. So we combine obviously with West Tigers Macarthur in the Group 6. So that's a Macarthur Conference competition, and it's a very strong competition. A lot of ex-NRL players playing in that. Obviously, you've seen Curtis Scott's over at Thelmere, and Blake Ferguson, and there's quite a bit of talent there, and some clubs have more money than others, there's match payments, etc.
Campbelltown City. So, okay, fullback?
Yes, yeah.
At 37, are we talking beer money, petrol money? What are we talking?
No beer money, mate. Beer money.
All right, Benj.
Vodka cruiser money.
So what would we throw on the table to get Benj out to Campbelltown City? Do you think you chook raffles?
Yeah, I reckon he'd have to do his fair share of raffles to make sure that he's getting paid though.
Well, there you go, Benj. There's an offer. Beautiful. So Shan, just on the junior footy side of things. So after Campbelltown City, take us through the pathway after that.
Yeah, so obviously, my junior rugby league sort of finished at the Campbelltown City Kangaroos, then went on to Jersey Flegg. So post SG Ball season, same as it is now, they'd pick a few to come up to Jersey Flegg. Leo Epifani was the coach at that point. He brought us up into Jersey Flegg, which is obviously a 26-week competition, and I played Jersey Flegg for him for a couple of years. Then I think so. The next year I was eligible for SG Ball again. I played SG Ball, then went Flegg, and then went and played Cup in the same year. So I used to think that was great. And then obviously Justin Matamua last year's gone and played all grades in 1 year. But went and played. So I come through, played Jersey Flegg, played Cup, which was New South Wales Cup back then for the West Magpies. Leo come up and was coaching in that grade as well. And then doing an apprenticeship through with the West Tigers. Just played some consistent footy for the Magpies. And obviously I was behind Brett Hodgson and Tim Moulton here was a fullback at the time as well. And then, when given the opportunity, I was able to make my debut for the West Tigers. So, and post West Tigers, so 2009 was my last year for the West Tigers. I broke my leg in the last game. My last game was against the Sydney Roosters in 2009. I broke my leg and then signed a 2-year deal with the North Queensland Cowboys, where myself and my family, we moved up there for 2 years. And really enjoyed my time up there. The body probably let me down a little bit. I ended up having groin reconstruction while I was up there, and obviously I know it was. I don't regret anything in my career. Obviously, at the Tigers, there was a kid called James Tedesco coming through, so I think my time was only limited here anyway. So, look, obviously I didn't get to play as many games as I would have liked, but for me, the goal when I was a kid was to play one game, and to be able to play the 20-odd games that I played, it's something that I look back on fondly, and I know my son's pretty proud of it, and that's probably, for me, at the end of the day, that's what, what makes me happy is making sure that my family are proud of what I've done.
Could we say then indirectly you stepped aside and you played a big role in Tedesco's career?
Yeah, let's just say that. I'm happy with that. I'm happy with that. No. Look, he's a very, very talented player, mate. I had no idea about him until obviously 2010 when I watched him play. I'm like, well, probably made the right decision there, I think. Yeah.
So post-retirement, Shan, talk us through, this is a question too, by the way, talk us through your pathway to your current role.
So I just was, Billy Callaway was in my role previously, and reached out and I put my name forward, to be a part of the junior rep system as a coach, as assistant coach, and did that for a couple of years. And at the end of each year, we'd put in a review around what we thought about the program and where we think the program could improve. And I used to give my thoughts and where I potentially could, lead to make the program put it in a better place. And one day I just got a phone call out of the blue from the person that was doing head of pathways previous to Matt Betsy, and just said, listen, would rugby league be something that you'd be interested in doing full time? And I sort of jumped at it. I'd been with the company that I was at previously for 10 years since I come home from the Cowboys.
Carpenter, right?
Yes, Carpenter. And I enjoyed that. I was working for a really, really good boss who, he knew how passionate I was about rugby league. And when I went to him with told him about the opportunity, he just said, mate, listen, you won't get this opportunity again. You got to jump at it, and if it doesn't work out, mate, you'll walk straight back in this door. So for me, after speaking with my partner and obviously the kids, it just made sense that I lived and breathed for rugby league. So and obviously the juniors is where my passion is. It just fitted.
Yeah, a very understanding boss, a wise boss that you had then. Yes. And there is a saying too: if you find yourself a job you love, and you'll never work a day in your life. I mean, it's not quite true, is it? Because you do work really bloody hard. We all do here.
Yeah.
But it's when you do love the business and the sport.
Look, I shouldn't say it obviously too loud, but I don't feel like I've worked for the last 2 years. Like, this is something that I literally, it's not a chore to me. I wake up of the morning and I'm ready to go. I'm not struggling to get out of bed to do this. This is essentially what I want to make sure that our pathways, both in the Campbelltown and the Leichhardt area, are thriving to make this club a better club.
Well, yeah, and I'll set that record straight too for Justin Pascoe and the crew and head of our financial team.
I do work.
He does work.
I do work.
He works a lot. He works hard, and he's not saying he'd do it for nothing. But I think we can all probably say that, and a lot of what we do, and people don't probably understand as well. They do, but when you live it and breathe it, it is around the clock, right? It is unsocial hours. It is. You have to be consumed by it because it is all consuming, right? You can't clock off. And even my role too, like in media, like I'm working all through the night and you're taking phone calls and all that sort of stuff. And that's cool because I love doing it too.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
But essentially, our job doesn't, like, we work and we get the program set throughout a day, but then it actually starts obviously at 5 o'clock under 9 o'clock at night when you're at training and working with junior clubs, etc. and all that. So, we enjoy it, mate.
And by the other side of the coin too, you will find time to manage your own time and find that other downtime you need when you need it. But there's some weeks where you just are non-stop. So tell us more about your role, the specifics of it then, because it is, as I say, all encompassing.
Yeah. So basically, I look after the Macarthur area, which is obviously the 4 programs. We've got Andrew Johns Cup.
16s?
16s. Harold Matthews Cup 17s, Laurie Daly 18s, and SG Ball 19s. So they're the junior rep programs. And then below that, we've got our development programs, which is 13s, 14s, 15s development, which we call it the Cubs. So the Cubs is essentially the male program and Raw is the female program. So myself, Christian Urso, will get out to junior league clubs throughout the season and identify young talent coming through. We'll appoint development coaches out of junior league, and then we run that winter development program where we're, I suppose, exposing kids to potential junior rep sessions that they'll be privy to in the next few years and get them prepped for that moving forward. So, we roll out of Jersey junior reps straight into junior development, and then obviously we got the elite Cubs programs that are picked out of junior reps.
We're only up to tackle 4. We're almost up into good ball zone. Okay. As a local junior, do you feel, and how do you feel that helps you in your current role?
Oh, immensely.
Yeah.
I know a lot about the area. I know, plenty of people out there. I coached my son in the area, so I got to know and build relationships with people in the area.
How old's he?
He's 16 this year, so yeah, got to they drive me around soon enough. So fullback winger. I've steered him away from it now. He's a little bit more switched on than his dad. So footy was my dream. It doesn't have to be his. We play Oztag together though. He's starting to get me covered at the moment, so I'm a bit worried I might not be the best player in the house. So it's but no, yeah, it's really good. Like he's got a passion for it as well. He really enjoys it. But we play a bit of Oztag together, and he's reffing it and all that now. So yeah, no, he's taking his own pathway. It's really good.
That's unbelievable. That must be great playing with your son. I mean, I couldn't possibly do it because I said I can't run to catch a bus. But and Talon played with his dad too, Talon De Silva, right?
Yeah, so he actually played against me last year.
True.
Yes, last year in the in the first grade competition out in the Macarthur area. So he played with Johnny De Silva, his father, who I played with previously as well.
Yeah.
So yeah, mate, very good player in his own right. So yeah, mate, it's fantastic to see.
That wouldn't happen very often, fathers and sons.
Now, there's not too many 50-year-olds playing like Johnny De Silva. That's the problem.
So he's about my age.
Yeah, he's pretty old, mate.
Yeah, mate. Life away from footy. Is there a life away from footy for you?
My wife would say no, but look, there definitely is. I spend time with the family as much as I can, but I've also, since getting around Scando, we know where this is going. I've formed a love of golf. So not just the same haircut as him, but I also like the game. So my brother-in-law plays a bit of golf. So me and him, we get down there and do as much as we can and play as much as we can. I'm slowly getting better.
Who's the better player out of you and Scando? I mean, I know he gets a lot more practice.
Mate, yeah,
and he gets paid for it.
Yeah, that's right. So he's basically a pro player. That's what he does for a living. So
on the lift tour.
Yeah, no, he's definitely better than I am. I'm a work in progress. Brett Kamali's been taking me through a few tips. So
How does Noddy hit him?
Very well.
So off at the three of you, Noddy, Scando.
Noddy without
good
a doubt.
Is he?
Yeah, he's very good. Very good.
Well, he's only worked
for
the last 10 years.
Well, mate, look, I don't think I've seen the bloke hit it not on the fairway. It's ridiculous.
Is that right?
Yeah, he's
Odd stuff.
And he knows everything about it. He's a student of the game, you would say.
Yeah. We'll talk more about it and everyone and in the Pathways crew a bit later on because women's rugby league is a really big space for us as a club right now. Mate, finally, arm in the air, there's the last something. Tell us something about Shannon Gallant that we don't know.
Jeez. Mate, I'm a pretty open book. There's the golf maybe people didn't know about. I suppose I actually shave my head by choice. I can grow a full head of hair.
No,
I can't. Mate, there's not too much that people don't know about me. I'm an open book. I don't really I hang with the family. I play a bit of golf and love my footy. That's about as simple as it gets for me.
Mate, simple's good.
Yeah, it is. It is.
I'm a simple man as well. Okay? The simple pleasures in life.
Yeah.
Spas. Sorry? Yeah, I love a jacuzzi.
Yeah, you do.
Love a steam room.
Yes.
Sauna, swim, all that sort of stuff.
Bryden's lawyers are the lawyers you know and trust. If you require legal representation, then why look anywhere else? Call Bryden's lawyers on 1800 848 848. Bryden's lawyers, we do support you in your time of need.
All right, well, that is the end of the set of six. We might sink our teeth now into some of the other issues around the club and again, sort of expanding on your role. An amazing season in Pathways, particularly in Southwest last season.
Yep.
With the Harold Matts winning the premiership. So that's under 17s, right?
Yep.
What did that do for the club and how did that impact on your role?
Oh, look, I don't think it had too much of an impact on my role. I mean, I suppose it puts a little bit more pressure on you. There's a bit of an expectation around, that moving forward. But I think
I guess maybe what I'm asking too is, does it make your role a little easier when others are seeing this success and saying, I want to get in that system?
Absolutely, without a doubt. I think the success of the Harold Matthews program last year, it really highlighted, what the club's doing in regards to funding, etc., around keeping our local talent and building a program that people are wanting to be proud to be a part of. It's an easier selling point for our kids coming through, where we're saying that, you know, obviously we've got success in our pathways now. We're not somewhere where you came in trial if you didn't make a Penrith, etc. We've got our own local kids that are homegrown products that are really good, talented kids, and they're proud about representing the area. And I think that's the biggest thing I'm proud about with that Harold Matthews squad. And I said that to them after the loss on the weekend, after being in SG Ball, is what they've done for this club moving forward in remaining here as juniors and the success that they've had. You know, young kids, they don't realise it, but the young kids are looking at them and going, wow, this is potentially where I could be in the next 2 to 3 years. So, really, really fortunate. We've had a crop of kids and coaches come through, and obviously the club backing the pathways.
It soon catches up, doesn't it? It doesn't take long at all. So I coach 15s, and I've been coaching this same team since they were probably 11, 12. And a few years ago, they're only babies, they're only kids. But now they've suddenly reached puberty. They're growing all the time. They're stronger. They're faster. And now I think of it, gee, they're not too far away from that first representative team. And some of these boys, you can sort of identify, may well have the potential to go down that path. Tell us about the process, right? So when a player might first get identified, at what sort of age, and where to then? Are there conversations with the family? Take us through it.
I think that's a big part of it, is obviously the conversations and building the relationships with the parents. Ultimately, they're going to be the decision makers of that age group, of that age. But for us as a club, we hold 12 talent ID days. Now, that's not to segregate kids and say, oh, look, you're not going to be any good at 12 years old. A kid might not be anything, and he could be the best 17-year-old in the future. It's more around identifying who those players are at the moment. If there's specific skills in a player that we think, well, this kid in 3 or 4 years might, be our half moving forward, or he's got a great passing game at this age. Let's monitor that. So at 12 talent ID days is where it starts for us, where we just bring, we invite every kid from the junior league in to be a part of that. And they come in and they get a West Tigers training shirt. We take them through a series of skill building drills. We send them on their way, take a few notes on a few things, and then just monitor plays throughout the next few years. And then obviously the 13s development squads, where not many NRL clubs are holding 13s development. They usually start there at 14 years old. Yeah. But we essentially, they start going into high school at 13 years old. They get mates from different areas and things like that. So we want to make sure that they know that there's a genuine investment in them in our pathways at the age of 13, where we'll start building on their skills and abilities to make sure that by the time that they get to Harold Matthews, they've learnt the West Tigers way. And then our Harold Matthews SG Ball coaches, etc., just obviously benefiting on what we've done at the development level. So
I saw last year when I first joined, a bit later, probably 6 months into when I started, and we had a tour. I think Betsy and all you guys brought a lot of those young kids all through this Zurich Centre, the Centre of Excellence, and they were amazed. I guess this place also serves a purpose as sort of being inspirational, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Well, not aspirational.
Yeah, I think it's a goal for all of those players to essentially be a part of this area, this place. This is obviously what could be the end goal for certain players out there that want to play NRL. Well, this is the home of our NRL club, and it's a great facility. Obviously, you take them through the gym, and you see how much they're in awe of the place. And that's nothing against St. Greg's. Like, they've got a great facility out there that we work out of, but you see the money and that's been poured into this place, and this, I think it just really gives the players hope and aspirations, as you said, to be a part of it.
You touched on something just a moment ago too, and you were saying there might be players at 12 years of age that have not really shown full potential. Equally, and I've been through this as a coach too, sometimes you get one or two of those boys at 11 or 12 who maybe, or even a little bit later, have reached puberty and grown, had a growth spurt before the others have caught up. And they are standout players, but they soon come back to the field, don't they? I guess you see that all the time.
And that's probably the hardest part of the job, is to obviously not – you play a 25 that might not be to the calibre of player one yet, hasn't gone through the development stages of that player. So you've got to be making sure that yes, all right, he's not up to this kid's standard at the moment, but who knows what's going to happen in 3 to 4 years. You don't know. That's probably the most difficult part of those younger age groups, is just making sure, and that's why it's really hard. I suppose it is. It's hard to identify and make sure that we're picking the right spots. So we have our own method around what we look for in those younger ages. It may be a kid that hasn't developed yet and he hasn't grown, but he's got a great passing game. He's got good knowledge of the game. So they're the ones where we're like, all right, well, let's just keep an eye on this kid and see where we go. So, yeah, you see that at every club. You're going to have a kid that's, outstanding at the age of 13 and has probably peaked. And then you've got a kid that's 13 years old that probably hasn't developed yet, but he's going to be a great 17, 18-year-old.
And I imagine, there are some tough conversations that probably need to have too when you're in that sort of selection process and you can only take 30 or 40 kids and there's another 10 or 15 that you got to draw the line there. That must be a challenge in your role.
Definitely. Definitely. More so this year than ever. Obviously, like I said, I coached at the at my son and his age group, so I know a lot of the kids. And obviously we had a lot of those kids trialling for representative positions, etc. this year that weren't able to make those squads. So definitely yes, but that's just a part of the role. It's something that I've learned to accept. And obviously Matt Betsy's worked really hard with me in order to make sure that I know how to deal with those situations and communicate it. So I know that now that's part of the role. But at the end of the day, if you don't make a rep team, it doesn't mean you're not going to make an role. I'm pretty sure Scando didn't make any of the Harold Matthews teams and went on to play nearly 250 games for the club. So I think the main
try too,
he's told me several times. Look, ultimately at the end of the day, the main thing for us is to get the message across that if you haven't made a junior rep or a junior development side, this doesn't mean that your dream is crushed. There'll be definitely opportunity moving forward.
It's a juggle, isn't it? It's not about me this show, but as a coach, right? So I've got under 15s. Okay, so we had 2 teams last year. We had only just enough numbers for 2 teams. The numbers have come back, but we've still got we've got 24 registered player or 25 registered players.
Yep.
Now I can only field a maximum of 20 each game.
Yeah.
So there's a 7-man bench.
Yep.
So I've got to rotate and rest players each and every week. And at the 15 age group too, it's not so much about just participating because you want to win the games, right?
Yep.
The boys want to win the games, but then you've got to have a rotational system.
And that's it was a difficult thing for me. I worked sometimes at the Campbelltown office with guys that I played growing up with, Drew Dalton, Scott Borgs, who were just as competitive as me growing up, but now work for the NRL and I've obviously seen the other side of it. And so
I at Campbelltown last week.
Yeah. So you're sitting with them and just realising that it's not so much about playing your best team every week. It's about giving kids opportunity and keeping them in the game and making sure player 25 next year wants to return and play rugby league because in 3 years' time he could be player number 1. So I think ultimately that was something that I learned working with those guys is it's not always just about the best players and picking the best team at the moment. It's making sure that you give an equal opportunity as much as you can as well.
Yeah. Good advice, Shan. Tell us about the women's game. It's a huge focus for this club at the moment. Our first NRL season is not too far away, and we've signed I think 8 female players to NRLW contracts. There are quite a few being signed, and this might be a scoop. I don't know if I'm allowed to say this or not. Oh, let's just say it. They'll be unveiled at Campbelltown on Sunday. So if you're out at Campbelltown, there'll be a lap of honour with some more girls, women really being signed. What are participation numbers like in the Southwest for female?
Big time. So they're growing and growing each and every year, and it's massive now, especially out in the Southwest area. So I was out Friday night watching some league tag, and I know a few of the coaches there, and was communicating with those coaches how good the girls were going on the Sunday, and he told me that basically they playing league tag on the Friday night, backing up and playing rugby league on the Sunday. So Group 6 wasn't really big for rugby league, but a lot of those they were more league tag. A lot of those girls now are playing both. They'll play league tag on a Friday night and they're back at playing rugby league. So they're seeing the pathway that Jess Bygate and the team are putting in place and wanting to be a part of that, knowing that, tackle is where, the future is with our club as well. So it's good.
Sounds to me like it is trickling down then. So NRLW, Harvey Norman Women's, we were champions of that. We're at Tasha Gale, Lisa Fiola. It sounds to me like those younger girls are seeing that pathway.
Absolutely. Yeah, look, Betsy, Noddy, Jess Bygate, all the staff have really done a great job in that women's space to implement programs all the way through from NRLW down. And I think we're only going to see it grow and get better. So we had Lisa Fiola, the girls were in the country on the weekend representing the club, and there's a lot of opportunity there for in the women's space, and Jess and the Pathways team in the female space are going to see the benefits of that in the coming years. It's going to be really good.
Tell us about your pathway to the NRL. Right, you've spoken about your junior footy, and another question I always like to ask too: when did you sort of know that you had the ability to go to the top?
I think I never was really. I knew I was a half decent player. I seen a lot of players that were what we spoke about earlier. A lot of players that were probably better than I was that took different paths. I was just so motivated to not play 300 games. I just wanted one game. I just wanted one game.
Yep.
I was so motivated being a smaller guy, chip on the shoulder essentially, and I just I come through the system and played 13s development. I started in the whites. It used to be the white side and the black side. The whites were probably the ones that weren't quite up to the black side yet.
Possibles and probables.
Possibles and probables. That's exactly what it was. I started in the whites, worked my way into the blacks by the end of the program. And I just, each year I sort of grew, progressed. And I think, the club seen something in me essentially. And I worked as hard as I could, as much as I could to get where I could, and I was around some really great players in Nathan Waters and guys like that in our pathways that we all gelled really good as a playing group, and was successful to an extent, and got an opportunity to be what they used to call an apprentice, essentially what I suppose Talon De Silva and the Geordie Millers are doing now, where we came in and did some pre-season training in 2006. I broke my hip, unfortunately. So it was early in the year.
Fractured hip, not?
Yeah, fractured my hip at Newtown at Henson Park. I did the rehab there, come back, played a few games, then was called in as 19th man, and Chris Lawrence was 18th man. So we both travelled up to Brisbane, right? And he ended up playing the game, and that was his debut game. So it was. I remember running out as 19th or 18th man because I had come down as 18th because Chris got brought into the side, and ran out and watching Darren Lockyer put these enormous bombs up and in Suncorp Stadium, and I'm just like, how good is this? And it was a fantastic.
Wow.
And then obviously didn't get a game in 2006, but in 2007 obviously played some good footy in reserve grade for the Magpies, and ended up getting some in my NRL debut at Campbelltown Stadium.
Yeah, amazing. Hey, and we spoke to Rowdy last on Easter Monday.
Yep.
And he mentioned that trip, and Sheensy said, hey kid, you're in.
Yep.
And he was talking about the plane ride home, sitting next to Hino.
Yeah.
And he had an exam the next
the
morning.
HSC, yeah, I know about it. Yeah, that's right.
He had the books out studying for the calculus or the algebra.
Yeah.
Hino said, no.
Yeah, that was probably the difference of where me and Rowdy were at was, mate, no chance was I even.
You weren't getting the
he
books
just
out.
debuted, scored a try, Burnham Berrigan, and he's looking studying, and I'm sitting there going, where are we going? What are we doing? Let's go. And I was 19th man. So, mate, no, he was. Rowdy was a special talent. He fast tracked through. He come out of nowhere, an athlete, and he deserved everything he got in his career, mate. He was a great kid.
You mentioned just a moment ago, possibles and probables. I haven't heard that term for ages, right? Let me throw one at you, not pumping my own tyres up, but New South Wales under 18s it was, combined Catholic colleges.
Yep.
We were having trials for that at Holy Cross Ride, not too far from here.
Yep.
I was there in one of the teams. Another bloke was there in the other team, Freddie Fittler. Was he impossibles or probables, do you think?
Not over you, surely not over you, mate.
I played against him, but he actually, I made that team.
Fantastic.
But they pulled Freddie out. And they went to Penrith.
Yeah, paper try. Oh, yeah, okay, there you go. Yeah, fair enough.
At the age of 16 or something
I heard he was a handy player at that age.
He was a handy player, Freddie Fittler. I look around the office here, Shan, and you guys are down sort of that end of the Centre of Excellence, Zurich Centre, where you've got pathways and community. So it's probably from the media section, it's a good 4 tackles, almost a set of 6 down there in the building.
Yep.
I do, and there's quite a few characters down there. You got Ronnie Palmer down there.
Yep.
You got Ciro.
Great.
You got Noddy Kamali down there. You got Bo Till, Betty Walsh, not too far away as well.
Yep.
There's some good characters amongst it, right? Yep. I do from time to time see a bit of fooling around going on.
Look, it's a great crew. Paul Siren, and I didn't know what to expect. Obviously, I'd only ever seen him play when I was younger, Mate, he's a first-class human being, and the crew. It's just a great crew. We have fun. We enjoy ourselves. We obviously get our work done, but we have a bit of fun in the meantime. I know that it's a pleasure to come to work. I still pinch myself that I'm working with guys like Paul Sear, and he took me to lunch when I first started one day, and we're sitting in the car next to him, and all of a sudden, Simply the Best comes on, and I'm looking over at him, and I'm like, what is happening right now? It's essentially my childhood, just flashbacks. So it's really great to be a part of.
You're sitting across the desk from Big Ciro. What was his nickname? What did he say?
What was it? The buttocks?
Yeah, the buttocks.
That's right. Yeah. Size 32 shorts. I'm like, mate, I'll wear 32s.
They were tight. I had this chat with Ciro not so long ago. He is a character. There's a lot of characters around the club. So, and you've played with a lot of the people that are now working with the club. So Robbie and Benji, and Heino,
Simon Dwyer,
Simon, and there's others. How important is it, and what would you say is the most important thing about having these former players now working with the club, and what sort of draws all of you back to the club?
I think it's just the passion for the club. I mean, the careers that those guys had here, was fantastic. And obviously they got a certain passion for the club, and I think they want to see it thrive. And it's not that they're here purely because of what they've done for the club. They're very knowledgeable people. They're not just players. They're very knowledgeable people. I've had several conversations with Benj about football, and I'm blown away by obviously how great he was. I know how good of a player he was, but how good of a coach he is as well. He's done some stuff in our pathway. He's turning up the training, and he's born to coach. Like, that's just what he is. I when playing with him, I didn't probably get that vibe, but now as he's matured and gotten older, and I've seen it happen and seen him coach, mate. Him, Farrell, all those guys are really, really good at what they do, and obviously Simon Dwyer. He's unmatched when it comes to cutting film and identifying things within games through film, and I'm learning a lot obviously around that space as well myself. So look, I think just the passion for the club and wanting to be a part of its success and bringing it back up to where it should be is what drives it.
You mentioned earlier, and I don't know if we were recording at that stage or not, with the SG Ball team bowing out against Parramatta last weekend. You were sort of saying there's a lot of similarities in that sort of team in terms of a lot of good stats, playing some good football, but just a bit of polish at the end sets, letting them down. A little bit like what has been happening with our NRL team. So we've lost opening 6 games this season. Not what we'd all hope for, but I guess you got to stick to the processes, right?
Oh, absolutely. Look, you can see that what they're trying to do and execute in a game. I think I listened to Rowdy, what he was saying last week. It's just fine tuning and sticking to that one thing and becoming great at that thing, essentially. So there's no need to be a full change of how we're doing things. I think what's happening is we're getting better at, and I think execution at the end of the day is what separates us from winning a game and losing a game, and it's probably just that slight execution, and I'm sure the boys will turn that around, and there's enough talent in that side to be successful, and I've got all the faith in them.
A huge loss for us losing Adam Dewey, another ACL for him, his third, so I really feel for Adam, you can't imagine what's going through, but he's been there before. I guess that's if we're looking for a silver lining, he's gone through it a couple of times. He knows what he needs to do. So fingers crossed for him, and all the best for Adam. I know that everyone is hoping and thinking of him. Sunday, Manly out there, I don't say out there, at Campbelltown Sports Stadium. So let's hope that that win might come. Yeah, let's hope it does. And I know there'll be a good crowd there. It'll be an emotional day too because it's Anzac round. I know we've got a lot of things planned. To commemorate that, so I do look forward to the whole occasion.
Absolutely.
Let's hope that first win of the season can happen at Campbelltown. Have you got any special moments at Campbelltown in your own backyard?
Obviously my debut.
That was there, right?
Yeah, so I debuted against the Warriors there, 2007. That was obviously I was actually.
Who were some of the bigger names in the team you were in awe of?
In our team?
Our team.
Obviously we had Benj was playing. We had who else we got? Oh, so we got Benny Galea. Benny Galea.
Yeah.
Farah.
Yeah.
Look, all the guys there. So I had Dean Collis. So Dean Collis, obviously,
Yeah.
he's not at the caliber of Benji's and those guys, but he was someone that I was a year or two behind in the junior rep system and watching his pathway go up and play in the NRL. So I was stoked to actually be playing with guys like Dean Collis, who I'd been watching literally a year or two above me for the last 4, 5, 6 years. So, mate, it was just fantastic to be a part of. Bronson Harrison, those sorts of guys where, like, you'd played Cubs with them and Liam Fulton's, all those guys where I wasn't too far behind these guys in age. So it was really great to obviously be a part of that process and being on the field with them.
Yeah, it's how it turns. You lived that dream, you lived that pathways, and now you're implementing that. It's
Full
nice.
circle.
It works.
Yeah,
It fits, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Okay, West Tigers fans, show your stripes and get ready to roar with the latest merchandise from the West Tigers Raw store. From stylish polos to cozy hoodies, we've got everything you need for the 2023 season. With a range of sizes and styles to choose from, you'll find the perfect item to fit your personal style. Whether you're heading to the game or you're just hanging with mates, the West Tigers Raw store has got you covered. So why wait? Head to the Raw store today and show your stripes. All right, we've got, I think, a couple of questions from the crowd. These have only come in this morning because I didn't actually put you on last week, so I couldn't promote it in advance. I've had a couple come through. Colin from Raby. So Raby, is it next to Minto? Far from Minto?
Not too far. Yeah, not too far. So it's
Scando sort of backyard too, right?
Yeah,
Round
somewhat.
about there.
Yeah. He's moved out to a little bit further out now, but he's it's not too far from Raby. So kind of near Campbelltown Stadium, basically.
Colin from Raby. Shan, can you tell us a few juniors in the system who we should be looking out for?
I think we've already sort of mentioned the guys that that are definitely coming through. Talon De Silva, great hooker, he's kind of, for this is my opinion, he's kind of a mould of a Damien Cook, running hooker, very, very quick out of 9.
Beach sprinter?
Champion beach sprinter. But great passing game. Just a talented kid. So and then you've obviously got Kit Lilly, who's a lock training with the NRL at the moment. Yeah. Very humble leader. He's a year young captain of the SG Ball squad, so he's eligible for SG Ball next year. Right. And he's captaining the squad. The only other person that's done that is Justin Matamua, who essentially is now in the NRL squad. Jordan Miller, big front rower. There's plenty of talent out there that we've got coming through. It's hard to name just a few. Those are the guys that are in with NRL at the moment. But yeah, look, there is plenty out there that we've got coming, especially in the South West area. Obviously, we've got some great ones coming through in the Leichhardt area as well, which is in the Balmain area. So it's exciting times.
It's rewarding, and I asked Ciro too. So let's say when Brandon Turmouth made his debut, I think it was at Leichhardt. You get a bit of a warm feeling about that when one of yours comes through as well. Thanks for that, Cole. Dennis from Casula. So that's where you.
Yes, Casula, the old stomping ground, Casula High School. Not much footy players that come out of there, I can tell you.
No?
No.
Other than you.
I take a footy to school, they used to go, what's that?
True?
Mate, nothing.
Who first gave you the name Mighty Mouse?
Daniel Fitzhenry. I think he's given a few people.
His name comes up a bit in this podcast.
He's got, I don't know, Mate, look, I don't know, chip on the shoulder mentality, try to pick on people bigger than me because I didn't have to defend in the front line, I suppose. But no, it was... we're at training the old Concord one day and he just come up and goes, you know who you remind me of? And I was like, who's that? And he goes, Mighty Mouse. And I went, who is Mighty Mouse? So straight home I searched it up and realised, and I don't know how, but it ended up sticking, and every now and then you'll hear someone yell out Mighty Mouse, and I think it was just the small man syndrome he's seen in me.
Well, I've got to say, and you're still very fit, you're still very quick, you're looking after yourself. We played that game of touch gridiron. That didn't end well for me. I snapped the Achilles. Jason, I think it was one of your downfield passes.
Sorry, mate.
Still recovering. It's not funny. Mate, I've had an awful 6 months with this Achilles.
I feel bad for you, mate.
No, of course you do. Righto. We are there. If you look at the big clock up there at Campbelltown Sports Stadium, there's only 5 to go. Yep. All right, we're going to rattle through these then, okay? Your favourite 5, Sham. So your favourite moment in rugby league?
As a player, me personally, or in general?
Yeah.
All right, me personally, obviously hard to go past the debut, but my idol growing up was Matty Bowen from the Cowboys. We played North Queensland Cowboys at Leichhardt Oval, and to be able to line up against Matty Bowen, who I obviously played with when I went up to Cowboys. That was obviously good. I scored a decent try, which a few of the guys, Kenny Tuala, and that gave me a bit of stick about because I put it on social media one day, and so I've learnt my lesson with that. But that's probably, I would say, my fondest memory playing in the NRL was that Leichhardt packed house.
Wow.
We got the win against Thurston, Bowen, and playing with Benji Farah and the likes of those guys was
your heroes.
Yeah, mate.
So you played against Matty Bowen, and then you finished your career playing with Matty Bowen. Nice. You mentioned Kenny Tuala there, another fella out in the community, does so much good work.
Yep,
right?
absolutely.
Real good fella. A lot of the people, in fact, they're all good people and hard-working people at the club. Which of your former teammates did you enjoy most of the good times with off the field?
So it was that younger crew that we come through. So Shannon McDonald was one that I spent a lot of time with. He played a few games, obviously, here at the club. We come up Cubs. We played Cubs together, and we drive home together after our Cubs when we were driving into Concord. And then we come up through into the NRL system together. We spent quite a bit of time. Dean Collis, out on nights out. It was great memories in regards to that as a young kid. It's being exposed to this life and obviously spending a bit of time with them outside of football as well. So yeah.
Probably a few stories you can't really
elaborate on. And then obviously, up in North Queensland, obviously made some good mates up there as well. So Ray Thompson's and the like. So
the Mad Cow, is it?
Yeah. I still owe them a bit of money actually. The Mad Cow. I tore up their dance floor. So
did you?
Yeah.
You can
I use that everywhere where I go.
You can cut a few shapes, can you?
Nah, not anymore.
No.
Mudguts doesn't let me.
Okay. Number 3, your favourite moment in your current role?
Hard to go past the Harold Matthews grand final. That team there, sensational team. Coaching staff did a great job with them. They went through the season undefeated. But in saying that, our job as a Pathways is to get the players to the next level. And I think this year what that group did in the SG Ball Cup, as a lot of you youngs, to represent the area where they're from and the jersey and go and make a semi-final. Yes, all right, they potentially could have won it and gone a little bit further, but I was pretty proud of the effort that squad and the coaching staff did in that SG Ball squad this year. But yeah, obviously the grand final is the grand final, and that's in the record books forever. But yeah, what they were able to do is a lot of you youngs in that group this year I was very proud of.
Who was the biggest joker in your team at West Tigers?
Yeah, I come through the Bo Ryan era, so
he was there.
Yeah, Bo Ryan was one of the all-time, the great stitch-ups of Gareth Ellis. He just signed with us. He's ringing him up, pranking him saying, "Oh, we're media. I need you to come in with your Pommy jersey. We're going to take photos." And he just rocks up with his Pommy jersey. There's no media in sight, and so it planted a seed in me. I think there's one game where it's the last round of the year, Brett Hodgson's last game.
Yeah.
I get a phone call. I'm at home. I get a phone call. It's from the team manager at the time. He's like, "Mate, we need you to fly up to Gold Coast." It might have been Bo was out, and straight away I'm like, "It's a G up."
Up.
I said, "You joke?" And he goes, "Nah." He goes, "I need you to fly up. You're gonna have to pay for your own ticket, and we'll reimburse once it's all sorted." Yeah. And I was like, "It's not happening, mate. I know you're a G me up." But anyways, I'm like, I can't risk it. I'm going to do it anyways. I fully expected to walk into the room and everyone be laughing, but luckily it wasn't the case. And I got 9 minutes in the game in Hodjo's last game, but that's what Bo did. He had you picking up the phone, and if you weren't sure who it was, you were thinking it was Bo.
He's a character.
Oh,
so he was always a funny man
he
back
just
then, right?
Didn't stop. Before he was even with NRL, we were coming through. He did a year, I think, with me at reserve grade at West Magpies. He was the same there, and they didn't even know about him in here yet. So I kind of was used to it, and then he come in here full time, and it obviously hit the ground running. But not far behind him was Bryce Gibbs and Liam Fulton. Those two together were a special combination.
So just still on Bo. So it all probably started, but then he went to the footy show, right?
Yep.
Someone must have identified that this guy has got a real knack and a real twisted sense of humour.
Yeah, that's the right way of putting it. It just he wasn't satisfied unless people were laughing. and that sometimes to our expense, mostly to our expense, really. Like we were the sort of the small fish, so he kind of cemented a name for himself, and we used to cop the brunt of it. But it was actually, if you didn't know how to take it, which sometimes you'd get to you a little bit, but. Oh, look, thinking back on it now, and you can understand why he's had a successful media career, because he's a classic, and he's just never off. He's always on.
Yeah, I spoke to him a couple of days ago, and he's keen to come on. So I'm looking forward to that. I'm not sure if it's going to be next week. It'll be soon. Look forward to that. Righto. The best player you've ever played against?
Best player. Look, I played against some handy players. Played against Thurston and that, but the most trouble I had was probably. We beat Manly 1918. Anthony Watmow. He was just for me. So he made a break. He ran straight. I tackled him once. I was like, all right, I'm sweet with this. He makes a break the next time. I show him the sideline. I'll show him the sideline. There'll be no dramas. He burns me. True. So like I caught him at the end of the line, but it was way too late. So then I had doubt in my head. So he makes a break again. I bite a little bit. He left foots me, scores under the post. So just what he was able to do as a back rower at that time, he was the one where I was just like, he's a nightmare, defensively to be a part of. And so, but obviously I played against Thurston. I went up to Cowboys and played against Benji. So I played against some great talent, but who gave me the most trouble was Watmow. And if you watch that game, you'll see why.
Chock Watmow.
Yeah, he was a beast, mate.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, mate. This is the final one. This one's from me. It's not really a favourite. Who would you say has had the greatest influence on who you are today?
Obviously, you can't go past your parents. Mum was a huge influence on me growing up and my football career. And then obviously, my wife, Brooke, I've been with her since we were 18 years old. We had Preston pretty young, 21, so I was essentially forced to grow up pretty quick, and my wife is pretty switched on, and she's been very supportive, obviously, of me and my career and football with travelling and going elsewhere. She's followed me wherever I've gone. So I think those two people, and that's why it's, the women's space essentially is really important to me, because without those two women in my life, essentially, I don't think I'd be the person I am today. And they keep me grounded, especially my wife. She keeps me grounded. But but when it comes to the football side of things, who shaped me as a player was my reserve grade coach for a long time, Leo Epifania. He's the one that sort of instilled that you're going to be smaller than everyone. You've got to learn how to deal with that, and you're going to have to, get that little chip on the shoulder and use it to your advantage. So in life, I would have to say, obviously, mum and my wife, Brooke, and then, in football, Leo Epifania.
And Leo's still doing some
He's still
great
doing
work
some
for
stuff.
the Magpies.
Very passionate human being. So you could probably see there's a little bit of, we got some common stuff there. But, close to 10 years, he was my coach, and, he helped me get to that next level, and I, ultimately was, helped me live my dream.
Well, Shan, mate, great to have you on Behind the Roar. Thanks for taking a bit of time out of your day to join us. Lovely to get to know you even more. I hope our listeners and viewers have enjoyed it as well. Keep up all the good work in Pathways, huh?
Thank you very much for having me.
Well, there is Shannon Gallant. Now, be sure to like us and follow us on all the socials. And if you want to send us a DM, you can do that too via Insta, West Tigers BTR. We'll do it all again next week, same time, same place. Until then, you know the drill. Show your stripes.
Behind the Roar, the official podcast of West Tigers.